Okay, we're in the garage today doing some regular maintenance. These bikes are 15 years old or older. I really didn't look up how old they were when I first purchased them. I guess I could have looked it up, I don't know. But anyway, I decided that the tires and inner tubes needed to be changed because of the age of the tire. Cars are 10 years. Bikes are, I don't know, but 10 years seems to be pretty good, and these are at least that, if not older. You can see the difference in the tires for my bike and my wife's bike. The male bike has a little more knobs on it, more for mountain, I guess, because it's a mountain bike. And this is more of a street tread. So, however, our bikes, even though they are mountain bikes, have not even seen a steep hill. Yeah, we got our big butt seats on there. Did a video on that. We absolutely love those seats. I cannot praise them enough. If nothing else, a big butt seat is extremely nice to have. I don't know what the hell those torture seats are that they have on these bikes, and especially like 10 speeds. I don't know what those Tour de France guys do. They don't sit on their seat, I can tell you that. But anyway, getting back to my normal maintenance, I have put tires on the front, so I didn't show that. However, another reason that motivated me to put new tires and tubes on there was the tube blew out on my wife's bike. And it blew out while it was sitting up in the air. I don't know what I was doing. I was putting the reflectors back on. I don't know if you can see that. I have these reflectors here. I did a video on that. We really love them. And as you can see, they are not on this bike. I took them off when I went to the shop to have them true the wheel. So what happened is, after the inner tube blew, and I didn't overinflate them, and it was sitting up here on the stand, but it would hit the brake. And let me stage it here. It would just, every once in a while, just where it blew out, it messed up the spokes. And when I took it to the shop, I didn't want to invest and learn how to do these things. It always confused me with the two sides and the way they go. I just haven't learned how to true a wheel. So when I took it to the shop, he said he tightened them all up, and that there was only a couple of spokes that needed to be adjusted to take care of the blowout. So he did say he tightened them all up, but I'm not going to take the other wheels in. They're running true to the best of my knowledge. So the bike's kind of turned around. The derailleurs are against the wall. So I'm going to change the chain and clean everything up, get the grease all off of it, and put a new chain on there. So I'll kind of show the chain, and I'll show one of the tires, the fun problems I had just putting in a tire. Oh my gosh. So let's take the rear wheel off and put a new tire on it. So the first thing I'm going to do before I take the tire off, which I just said I was going to do, is I'm going to inspect the chain again, because there's no master link on it. It came from the factory assembled without a master link, and what I'm trying to say is there should be a pin in there that they inserted and broke off. That's how Shimano is. So I'm gonna try and hunt that down. I might not be able to find it after all these years. I haven't found it yet. That's why I haven't messed with it until today. So anyway, let me look for that. Okay, I did not find a pin that was obviously a master link. They were all pretty much the same. I could see, I guess, you know, at the factory where it's like broken off during the manufacturing process. You know, this end looks smooth, and it's kind of like that throughout the chain. You know, there's a couple look like, I guess they were broken off on that side. You know, no big deal. So, you know, I marked it and went around a couple of times. Nothing seemed obvious, so I'll just pick a spot and break it. Alright, first things first, we'll take the wheel off here. See if I can get it off without too much trouble. Oh, gotta undo the brake. So that's up here. And I need to squeeze these together so I can get the cable out. Now I've already released the wheel, so I don't want that to fall. And I gotta get in the way of the camera. Yeah, my homemade fender mount was kind of in the way. It's real close to where the cable attaches, and I had to make this because back in the day when the earth was cooling and we bought these bikes, you know, they really didn't have fenders. It was a mountain bike, and you don't buy fenders for a mountain bike for some reason. I don't know, but anyway, they make them now, and but I'm gonna live with these. They're kind of, they float around a little bit, but they serve their purpose. I wasn't going to buy the supporting rods that go up. I might do that one day. They're currently $60 at the time of the video to get new fenders, but not too worried about it. We don't typically go out in the rain. We might hit a puddle, and that's about it. Alright, so off with the wheel. Alright, I should be in frame, so I moved the derailleur all the way out to the small gear. I'm not saying what speed it is, but I moved the derailleur all the way out away from the tire, and that way it was much easier to remove the chain and work the wheel off, as you can see, because I'm having so much fun. There it is, off the derailleur. Just get it off of the kickstand, get it off of the chain. Having so much fun. Now, I do know that when you put on a new chain, you want to make sure that the links are correct, and it shouldn't be sagging here. It shouldn't be hanging down. That would be a bad sign. So I'll get to the chain in a little while. That also exposes my derailleur, and I'll be able to clean that up. Now this one, even though we paid close to, let's just say $450 for the bikes, brand new. These derailleurs are actually pretty cheap. What are they? They are SRAM X3s, but what you want to note is that they are riveted. That's right. So when your wheel wears out, you're either going to have to drill out these rivets and put in bolts, or buy a new derailleur. So I was going to change the wheels, but that turned out to be complicated. This is an 11 and 13 combination, and if you go to buy wheels, it's almost a nightmare. First of all, there's style, then there's tooth count, and then the 11-13 combination. Luckily I have two bikes, so there is a possibility that I can buy a set of 11s and a set of 13s, which opens up the field a little bit wider. But still, there again, you know, it's just a ridiculous amount of details to pay attention to. You know, you just don't go willy-nilly on there and go, oh, those are pretty, I'm gonna buy those. And then you have a nightmare on your hands. All right, so let's go to the tire. First things first, I want to inspect this. I've seen some dirt on it, so I am gonna clean it up a little bit. I talked to the guy in the bike shop. I was gonna take this off, put it in my sonic cleaner. He didn't object to that, but what he said is if you take this thing off, there are bearings that will have the potential to run around all over the place. And so, you know, he said if you're not having any problems, just take a toothbrush and go in there and clean it. So I'm probably going to take a paintbrush and cleaner and, you know, like a 1-inch, 2-inch paintbrush and get in there and clean it up a little bit. All right, here's my quick release pin, and there's a little spring on the end. Notice the small end goes towards the center and the large end goes towards the tightening lug. So that's how that is on both sides. So I do have a Shimano, which is like 12 slots for the tool to fit into. Also at the shop he had cassette removal tools. He didn't have a freewheel moving tool, and this is a freewheel. So the difference between a freewheel and a cassette is that when it's removed, it's all one piece. This is a freewheel, so if you remove it, it's all one piece. And a cassette, if you remove it, all the gears are separate. So you can replace, you know, this one if it's worn. And I see somewhere, for example, you can see this tooth is more like a shark fin than a square tooth. So there is some signs of wear, but nothing really to worry about just yet. Also, he warned me that if it's on this smaller gear on the outside here, he said there's a tendency for it to skip. So be careful with that. And I'm not 100% on what he told me the cure for that is, but I'm pretty sure if you get the right chain and you get it at the right length, you won't have a problem with the skipping. So I think it had something to do with the new chain, because we were talking about that too. Again, this is, you know, I'm learning. I did not know bikes had so much to them, and that there were so many different variations. I pretty much my entire life have only dealt with Shimano, so I wasn't aware of, you know, the high-end stuff or even some of the cheap stuff that's now aftermarket, or the competition, whatever. You know, there's so many bike builders, and especially when you get into electric, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, the volume of electric bikes out there. It's like everybody seems to have an electric bike, you know, kits, pre-built, large companies, individuals, you know, it's just totally insane. All right, let's get the air out. I have a removal tool, but I'm just going to purge it. like that. Okay, next we need to get this off of here. So let's see. Gotta watch my reflectors here. I took them off the front wheels. I'll probably just go ahead and take them off because I'll be messing with it and I don't want to lose it. Oh joy, bicycle tires. So what I found is that standing them upright and pushing them in exposes the bead, and then you can get it started. The one that blew was much easier. This one still has a little bit of air in it. Let me go ahead and take the needle out. Alright, fun stuff with gloves. Alright, and then see how much easier it is to get the bead started with the tube completely deflated. Almost got it. In other words, I don't even need tire tools, but I am going to grab a screwdriver. See if I can get in the way of the camera here. And that is all she wrote. That's all you need. Alright, and what I typically do is just pull it over the rim. I mean, once it'll get to the point where it just comes right off and you'll have no issues whatsoever. Especially if you get your hands underneath there, you see it's zooming now. So we have it apart. I'll inspect the rim, make sure everything's okay. I already know it's true, so I don't want to do something in changing the tire that's going to mess that up. And then in here, in the tire, if I can get it on camera, the inner tube's still in there. You can see it right there. Alright, next I'm going to take some steel wool and kind of clean up the brake contact area. Get stuff like that off of there. Clean it up a little bit. You know, I'm not going for perfection. It's just kind of like wipe the dirt off almost. That kind of a situation. That's actually the weld point. Can you see the seam going across there to the right of my finger? It's where it was assembled. So a little bit of quality control issue there. Alright, next is a 360 inspection of all of the spoke tops, I guess you want to call them. Make sure that they are covered up so that they don't have a chance to irritate the tube and puncture it. So I do see some rust, but not too much grease and debris in there, so I'm just going to take my wire toothbrush and just kind of clean up all in here. I saw a little bit of rust. I'll clean that up a little bit. And, now believe it or not, new chains actually do not need to be lubricated. So I would say 9 times out of 10, oh gosh, my spokes are dirty too. Jeez. 9 times out of 10, you really don't need to lubricate the chain when you install a new one. But read the instructions. Like I said, the details are vicious. They are all over the place for different brands, for different speed bikes, you know, 10 speed, 12 speed, 7 speed, 8 speed, 6, 1, you know, whatever. It's just different for them all. Well, I tell you, ignorance is bliss, because I was just thinking, and I get a new battery for the camera, gave me time to think. When I was a kid, you know, the chain came off, we put it back on, we maybe undid the bolts and pulled the wheel back a little bit. That kind of took care of that, you know. That's how we fixed a loose chain or a chain that came off, you know. So just weird things. You know, where I was saying earlier, nowadays there's so many different chains, you know, for different bikes. You know, you have your thicknesses is basically what it boils down to. They're wide by variants of a millimeter, and in order for it to change gears and fit between the gears so it doesn't catch and skip, that's the issue. That's why there's so many different ones. I'm not sure if the spacing between them is different. I kind of doubt that. It'd be pretty close. Might be some specialty bikes, but the main thing is the spacing between the teeth here. That's going to determine your chain width, and then that's going to determine which chain you buy. So if I wanted to replace this Freewheel, I would need to know that it's 14 to 34, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is a 7-speed. Doesn't matter what you have on the front. I've got 3 on the front, but this is a 7-speed. It's all in the rear. Alright, we're all cleaned up. Got a little bit of dripping going on there. It's just alcohol. You know, I didn't even use carburetor cleaner or anything to get the grease off. Just brushed it off. Not too worried about it. Seems to be in pretty good shape. And going back to when I was a kid, you know, we didn't pay attention to any of that stuff. So it is important, but I really don't see a problem. Sounds a bit rough to me. If it, you know, I'm used to precision in industry, so that noise means that the bearings need to be lubricated, in my opinion. But I'm not gonna take the Freewheel off of there and go through it. The guy at the shop didn't recommend it. I think the way this is keyed, you know, you get your tool in there on the 2 little dots there, and I think that'll unscrew and expose the bearings and whatnot. That's what I would think. I'm not 100%. Alright, I'm going to wipe down the spokes individual, one at a time, up and down, clean those off. Both sides. Fun stuff. And again, that's how I made my living, is maintenance, because the operators, in this case me, were ignorant of the equipment that they were operating. That means me. And they would ruin it, or otherwise mess it up, or otherwise, you know, require some sort of maintenance or whatnot to take care of it. And that's where I came in, and I would get all upset that, you know, why did they do that? You know, they broke it just by using it. And now I'm them. Oh well, fun stuff. All right. Okay, nothing to see here. Now what was interesting is these tires, they were all folded up, you know, they were in a little package, you know, and you cut all the wire ties and unfolded it, and there it is, a tire. So we have our new tire, and let's see, something very important is direction. So you want to make sure you get that right, especially these treads. So right now it's backwards. It's going to go on this way. This is on the right side, so the wheel's going to rotate clockwise looking at it from the right, and you want your direction arrow to be going this way. If I can find it again. They have one on this side? I would think so. Yeah, here it is. So, there we go. Now, putting a tire on is fun because you actually have to put one bead on and then the inner tube and then the other bead. I mean, there's just no way around that I know of. At least by hand anyway. So let's get this guy on here. We'll go all the way around. There we go, the wheel is in the tire. Now we will fit the inner tube in, and there are 3 valves that you need to know of. My whole life I've only dealt with Schrader valves. I didn't even know the other 2 existed. But anyway, so you want to make sure your valve is correct, or at least you have a way of inflating the tire with the valve that's going to be on your inner tube. Alright, so we'll put that in. Okay, I usually have the logo where the valve stem is going to go. It's just a quick reference for me. Anyway, and there's no logo on the other side of this particular brand. So we'll get the valve stem in. And then what I like to do is put the cap on it so that it won't fall out while it is deflated. And then we will set it in the tire correctly. No twists, no turns, no goof ups. Alright, we'll make sure it's all nice and flat. We will bring the wheel over, and then we will put the other bead on. So I'm going to go up to the top where it's easier, and we are going to start the bead. Yeah, this is the easy part. Alright, and I've had to work it 2 or 3 times because it, it kept popping out, so I'm almost near the end. And that went in real easy, but believe me, I had to go around the wheel 2 or 3 times because as I put it in place, it came undone later. Also, I had to pull the valve stem out a little bit each time. Because it would go back in too, because I'm pulling on the tire and trying to get the bead in and having so much fun. Alright, let's put some atmosphere in here. Okay, it's ODON 30 and my compressor only has about 40 pounds, 50 pounds of air in it, so we're not going to be going to the max. So what I'd like to do is just put a little bit in there. Let's get it up to, whoa, I'm off camera. Let's get it up to about 20. Now I'm going to check for leaks. It's already hard. Yeah, it's just a little bit of flex, but it's a lot less than I like to put in there. So I'll just pump it up. Looks like the compressor's at about 45. That's plenty. That'll let me know if I screwed up. So, all right. Tire on. So there we go. So I'll put my quick release back in. The And I'll tighten it up when I'm on the bike, because normally I don't take it out, but I did for the video. Okay, before I take the chain off, I'm going to inspect my derailleur, maybe clean it up, and then take the chain off, or take the chain off and then it'll be free floating. But anyway, you can see that this forward gear is smaller than the rear. So in my case, I have 11 teeth and 13 teeth. And like I mentioned earlier, they're riveted in. So if I wanted to change them, I'd have to do some engineering. Alright, let me break the chain and clean these up. So this turns out to be an inexpensive derailleur. I wouldn't call it cheap because it's always worked in the years that we've had it, and I've had no issues with it. None whatsoever. Never adjusted it, not even the cable tension, nothing. And again, this is the SRAM, I guess, S3. I am unfamiliar with the correct pronunciation of these manufacturers' names here, so I apologize if I misspoke. It's just been a trooper, and it's inexpensive. I mean, you can pay $30–40, or you can pay hundreds of dollars, and you can even get up towards $1,000. And I don't know what makes them that expensive. Maybe they're made out of lightweight metals, because you know you're in the Tour de France, and you know you need like 1/10 of a gram for your derailleur, so you can climb, you know, the mountain there, Mount Blanc, you know, at 200 miles an hour without huffing and puffing. So you pay $1,000 for a derailleur. I don't know, but I'm sure that's what it has to do with, you know, because this is just plastic, and it functions, you know, it just goes in and out, puts the chain on the gear that needs to be selected. All good. Also, your mounting. You just can't willy-nilly go out and buy a derailleur. The way they're mounted is such that some are flush, some stick out. It's ridiculous. You just get into a real nightmare if you just willy-nilly go out and buy a derailleur because, you know, you like the brand or whatever. Alright, there is a date on there. It says 11 March 09. So it could be the 11th of March of 2009. Is European backwards, you know, is that 2011, 9th of March 2011? Or is that 11th of March of 2009? 9/11, it's been so long ago, those two numbers don't really matter in the big scheme of things, because this video is being made in 2022. So, you know, at a minimum, that's 11 years. So, alright, a little bit tilted because of the tripod or whatever, but anyway, first things first, check the chain width, make sure I have clearance, that everything's okay. Do not want it touching the other sprocket. Okay, here are our two new chains set from end to end. I don't know if it's a good brand, bad brand, I don't know. It's what I wanted, so I bought it. So that is that. Now I need to break the chain off the bike and bring it over and check the length for link count as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4. How many are there? All right, let me get some angle down here. All right, it goes in the back. Here you see there's like 2. Goes in the back. Then you just kind of get it on there snug. And then we will crank this on here. Alright, so I readjusted so the pin is in line with the pin. Alright, let's see if we can push this guy out here. Alright, well, it looks like take 2 for me. I mean, I'm going to have to take that pin completely out. So I guess this isn't 50 years ago. This is now. Let me get this snugged up. Drive the pin out. Alright, it's out. I felt it. Jeez. And I have my thumb over top of it too. Isn't that nice? Alright, that's clear. That's clear. Got them both out. Yay! Okay, now we need to make sure the ends are the same. What does that mean? Alright, let me show you the other end. See, it doesn't match up. So we want them just like this. Okay, here we are on the other end, and actually it's not too bad. I've actually kind of pulled this out, but anyway, we want to take out 2 links. So I'll remove the pin there. Alright, we're going to do the second pin. I can do this on camera. Technically the camera's in the way, believe it or not. So let me get this all lined up, then I'll shove it in front of the lens. Alright, there we are, all snuggly. And we'll just drive this through all the way this time. Alright, back out. And double check. Okay, there we are, even Steven. That's chain number 1. We'll put it back on the bike. Alright, first we'll fish it through the derailleur correctly. And we'll do that by coming up and around. So we can go this way. Oops. Yeah, and you have to fish it through correctly. There's like a bar in there, so you do not want to screw that up. There we go. See how that is? Alright. Then we are technically going through the bar. See how I'm going through the bar, and then we're going through the derailleur, and then on the correct tooth setting that the derailleur is aligned with. Did I show that? Okay, and then here we are. We get to move the camera There's our connection area, and now I have a master link. So I'll show you how this one particular master link that I have works. Okay, for putting the chain back together, a nice little holder came with the chain breaker. So that's pretty nice. Kind of keeps the chain from going all over the place when you put it back together. Alright, so here we are all connected. And I'm just going to give them a little tug now, actually riding. When you turn the pedals, will actually lock them in place. They also make tools where you can spread them apart and lock it in place. But I'm going to leave it like that and use the pedals. Alright, I did a little experiment on the other bike where I put in the other chain. I just took the pliers and hooked it on there and click, popped right in place as you can see it. And that also took care of the other side. I know that you can't see it, but I just did the one side and the other side clicked in also. Alright, my first reaction was I did it wrong because you see it's not on the upper derailleur wheel, but that's because the tire goes on here, and on this chain goes onto the sprockets, and that's what's going to capture it. So when we get the wheel on there, it's going to be on the other side, so sorry about that. Alright, I got the chain up and out of the way here so that I can attach it. There we go. Now I'm over the gears. Put it on the smaller one. Get everything lined up. Alright, get the pedal going. Yeah, it fell into the 14-tooth gear on the end. Alright. Fun stuff. Alright, filming this stuff is such a joy. But here we go. Bike is up in the air. I'm bumping the camera. And off we go. Alright, next is reassemble the brakes here. Make sure everybody's lined up and happy. Well, that was easy. Let me activate it here. Oh, seems to be tight. I'm going to have to do some adjusting there, but that's my problem. Alright, I didn't have the pin in all the way. I just had it started. So once I got that done, everybody's happy. And it's not rubbing, or if it is, it's very little. I really don't want to have those trued up if I don't have to. Oh, that's fine. Alright, new wheels, new chain, we're ready to go. Thank you for watching.